What is going on, SoFi fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you on how things are starting to set up for the ultimate rally, what that might look like for SoFi and also its investors. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. With that, let's get right to it. So I think the thought of a rally, especially more so for SoFi investors, is very much exciting because looking at our 1 year chart, we've gone nothing but down. Yet our earnings just get better and better. So something doesn't add up when it comes down to SoFi, but we have found some pretty good support around the $5 range. But at the end of the day, I think we're starting to have and go in the right direction as far as momentum. And Cathie Woods recently did talk on inflation and ultimately how we might be leading into the roaring 20s. And I'm going to give you a good idea of what that means, but she does refer to the recent CPI data. So the recent CPI data, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, we did increase 0.4% the month over month. So if you look at that data, yeah, we still increased, but what you need to do is take a step back and realize what the actual report is saying. A lot of people don't necessarily like CPI because of its huge amount of energy, and energy can skew the CPI data as it did in July and so forth. So in July, as you can see, the energy did decrease 4.6%, then -5, -2.1, but yet this does skew a lot of these numbers. So what you need to do is factor in what the actual true other basket items are doing outside of energy. In October, energy did increase 1.8%. So that does mean if you do the basic math, the other basket items did go down. So even though our chart as far as CPI is looking consistently up, the true data is saying that other basket items are going down. So she's talking about this potential curving of the CPI data and inflation. And if this does work out to how she's projecting it, it could go into similar what happened in the roaring 20s. So as you can see right here, we kind of went down a little bit and then we went on a epic rally, and more so a 3x kind of rally. So at the end of the day, we know generally the market does go up consistently over time. That's what typically does happen, but we have these downtrends, and this is exactly where we are on right now, and especially more so at this exact same time, as she does say in many of her other following tweets, especially more so about World War I stuff. But she's talking on how inflation was extremely high at that same stage. So again, we might be going into a very epic rally. So what would that look like for SoFi in the bigger picture? Well, ultimately, we would at least go up pretty significantly, because keep in mind, SoFi is in the sector that does typically flourish when there is higher interest rates. And as of right now, we have gone up quite a lot. So roughly about 4%, and that's not including plus prime or whatever it is. So SoFi has the capability of making a ton of money in this environment, which is very rare considering a lot of other sectors can't be saying that. A lot of sectors are pretty much struggling right now, especially with higher interest rates, and more so, as I always say, not necessarily on SoFi, but if you're ever looking on a other stock to look at, you always want to look at the balance sheet and to see if they can survive in a higher interest rate environment. And SoFi definitely has that capability to flourish. So I think given the circumstances, SoFi will do and will exceed the S&P 500 if we do go through this massive rally because of, like I said, the higher interest rate environment and that aspect to that. So let me know your thoughts on that. But what is also happening behind the scenes that could kick us off into that nice rally is a little bit more sad to say, but what recently happened about the FTX exchange and ultimately how there's a little bit more fraud. And I'm not here to talk about cryptocurrency by any means, but there is a ton of actual institutions and hedge funds in the same actual position as 𝗖𝗓𝗧𝗛 Capital. So 𝗖𝗓𝗧𝗛 Capital lost a ton of money. And when I say a ton, it is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Similar other institutions do the same thing. And oddly enough, like I said, it's very sad. Recently, El Salvador did switch to a full-backed crypto exchange, or as far as their currency. So their national currency is Bitcoin. And unfortunately, like I said, I think I said unfortunately several times because it does really suck. This whole situation sucks. But even more so, their national currency is on the FTX exchange. So I don't know necessarily where that's going to play out, but you are going to have a lot of institutions that are very much hungry for very big profits because they need to recoup all of these fees and all these costs and everything like that. So what are they going to do? They're going to find extremely undervalued stocks such as SoFi and buy the hell out of them. So not only that, so technically we will increase in the price just based on that alone. So institutions increasing their value in SoFi potentially, that could add a little bit more of a squeeze aspect. And like I said, and more so what Cathie is saying, with inflation and if CPI is starting to be curved as far as the other basket items, then we could potentially have everything that we need for a very good rally. So let me know your thoughts on that. Behind the scenes, even when we did have higher interest rates and higher inflation, institutions were still buying SoFi pretty significantly. So as you can see here, I'm just going to move in a little bit closer. But as you can see, a lot of big institutions were all increasing their position, 421%, 66. There's a lot of big money still getting into SoFi. And I think at the end of the day, that's a very good indication that we have a very good diamond in the rough. And as Anthony has said in the past, the market acts very irrational, plain and simple. We can't predict that. And a lot of the bigger powers are trying to short and take as much profit from these legitimate companies, and especially more so that do have a pretty significant retail presence as well. So I think SoFi is going to be the next big thing that institutions really look at as far as value. So hopefully that's my own interpretation. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence at the end of the day. More recently as well, I just want to share a tweet with you that Tanner did post. So SoFi was ranked top 5 mortgage lenders. So I think that's a very exciting thing, and it shows that we are moving in the right direction. So very good post, Tanner. I really did like that. And obviously for SoFi to be considered the best for saving money, I think that does encompass exactly what SoFi is trying to do. And so when it comes down to the actual technicals though, if we do have a very epic rally, it won't be just overnight. We will not be going to $12 just tomorrow. It will be a nice laddered approach, as what typically the stock market does do. So it still will have its ups and downs, but generally speaking, as you can even see on this chart, it will technically still have these ups and downs, but overall it will go up. That's obviously what Cathie is saying. And I did see some other individuals talking on how we might be going on a very big rally because of the FTX exchange and that whole situation. So we might potentially have a double whammy on our hands. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. If you do like my channel, want to support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on SoFi.